Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, children. In last class, I told you one story. So, what is that story name? The Foolish Maid. Yes, mashallah. The Foolish Maid. So, how many persons were there? There were two persons. So, what is the first person name? Yes, mashallah. Her name is Mrs. Gracie. She is the owner of the house. So, what is the second person name? Yes, mashallah. Her name is Shalu. She is the servant of the house. Okay, children. So, first of all, Mrs. Gracie, what did she ask to Shalu? She asked for, yes, chapatis. But what did Shalu did? She brought chapatis in her hand. So, Gracie asked her to bring those chapatis in a tray. As it is in the picture, the chapatis are in a tray. In the same way, Gracie is asking Shalu to bring chapatis in a tray. Next, what is Gracie asking to Shalu? She asked for her shoes. So what did Shalu did? She brought those shoes in a tray, isn't it? She brought those shoes in a tray. So again, Mrs. Gracie got angry. Then what did Mrs. Gracie ask to Shalu? She asked to bring some water. She asked to bring some water. So if anybody is asking water to bring, what will you do? You should give water in a glass or tumbler. But what did Shalu do? Shalu brought water in her kerchief. Shalu brings water. Madam, here look at this picture. Madam, here is the water. What is this? You silly goose. You should bring it in a glass. Now get my handkerchief. So why Mrs. Gracie is scolding Shalu? Mrs. Gracie is asking for water. But what is Shalu doing? Shalu is bringing water in her hands. So, Mrs. Gracie is asking Shalu to bring water in a glass. And then, now she is asking for handkerchief. Then what she is asking? She is asking Shalu to bring her handkerchief. Now, Shalu brings the handkerchief. Now, madam will not be angry with me. Now what is Shalu doing? Shalu is bringing the handkerchief by placing it in a glass. Look at this picture. Shalu has kept the handkerchief in the glass. Okay, children. So what did you understand from the story? We should be polite towards servants or helpers. Okay, we should be polite towards servants or helpers. First of all, there were this lesson name was Foolish Maid. There were two persons, Mrs. Gracie and Shalu. Mrs. Gracie is the owner of the house and Shalu is the servant of the house. First of all, Mrs. Gracie is asking for breakfast. First, Gracie is asking chapatis, but Shalu is bringing in her hands. Next, Gracie is asking for shoes, but Shalu is keeping shoes on a tray and bringing. Next, Gracie is asking for water, but Shalu is bringing water in her hands. Next, Gracie is asking for kerchief, and Shalu is keeping it on a glass. Okay, children. So this is a story. The moral of the story is we have to be polite towards servants or helpers. Say with